and welcome to a very, very special edition of Behind the Mask. My name is Dennis. I think you guys already know me well. Eugene's not with us tonight, so I do have a very, very special guest with me tonight. Good friend of the show. I can't wait to bring him on. We're going to talk on all kinds of trash. But yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight. Again, kind of a little bit of a different style. Yep, solo again, Lupe. Yep, solo again. You can't trust people in the military. Oh, I didn't say that. But at any rate, yeah, solo again. Unfortunately, Eugene is traveling right now, so he could not be on the show with us, but that's okay. Like I say, I've still got plenty to talk about, still got plenty to do. Before we get started, just kind of wanted to, go through the typical shout outs and honorable mentions. Ghost Energy, which you can see I have back here. I've got my stash. It's got that epic focus, that legendary, epic focus, legendary energy. God, I drink so much of it. You'd think that I would know it, and I'm dropping shit. Anyway, I've also got my Dr. Squatch back there. I love that soap. I think it's pretty safe to say that's for men. That's for us. But no, absolutely great line of products. They've got soaps, deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, all made for men, for our skin, for our hair. Check it out. Anyway, this is gonna be fun. So, as I said, lots to talk about tonight. We just had the Midwest Major this past weekend, so we're going to touch on that tonight. Talking a little bit about a relatively new face on the podium from that event, so that's going to be exciting. And let me go ahead and bring in my special guest host, Mike from Charm City.
Hello, everyone. How's it going tonight, Dennis?
There he is. How you doing, my friend?
Doing excellent. Thank you so much for allowing me to sit next to you on the show.
No, believe me, the pleasure is all mine. Like I've said it before, Mike, you're family, so you're always welcome here.
Well, I'm here. Now getting rid of me. We'll see if you can do that one. That's
Oh, geez, sorry, Lupe. Mid-Atlantic Major, sorry. Mid-Atlantic.
Indeed. And the corrections begin.
Right? You think that we actually were professional?
Almost professional.
Almost professional, yeah. So, Mike, how are things going? I know you guys have been battening down the hatches with weather lately, and you just got back from vacation not too long ago.
Indeed, we did. We were on a southeastern tour of the United States up through Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and back down through Florida. Kind of drove through a little bit of Alabama and everything as well. So yeah, visiting family, and went to Graceland to see Elvis's house and all that cool stuff. So yeah, just kind of cruising around,
Very
having
cool.
a little time off. It was good. It's hard to get back into the swing of things though. And you know how it is when you go on vacation, you come back to a storm of everything that didn't get done while you were gone. So
yeah,
still working my way back into that.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear come mid-July, because I'm going to actually be, as I've mentioned a bunch of times already, I'm going to be in Austin, Texas and surrounding areas from July 8th through the 16th. So I'm kind of scared as to what I'm going to be coming home to.
Are you going to be playing any paintball while you're there in Texas?
I wish, but unfortunately, no. It just didn't work out, that way. My parents live just outside of Austin, so I'm going to be visiting with them for the majority of the time. However, Lupe is going to make some time to meet up with us, and hopefully Niles from Texas Cyclones will also be able to swing out and hang out with us as well. We're supposed to get together and have steak dinners before I leave Texas, so it should be good.
That's cool. Maybe one of them can sneakily bring a paintball gun with him and shoot you a couple times in the parking lot to just give you the full experience,
Oh man, you have no idea how, I've been playing through in my mind, how am I going to do this? Soft goods, like jersey, pants, pads, that I can fit in my luggage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, how do I transport my marker? Do I just leave it in the carrying case and then just let them know, hey, there's a paintball gun in here. And then, Lupe and Niles both have said, we've got loaders coming out our ass. We've got tanks coming out our ass. You don't need to worry about that.
That's the easiest thing, man. Just bring your clothes and bring your own mask and a pack. And you go up to any paintball field, pretty much people say, yeah, I have an extra gun. I got an extra tank. I got an extra loader. Boom, you're ready to go. Like, you should be good. Just bring your soft goods and your mask. You're ready.
Yeah. And I mean, and that just goes to show, we've talked about the kind of the camaraderie and the spirit of this community. For the most part, everybody is super chill and they're willing to do exactly that. Hey, I'm visiting from California, I've got a pants, jersey, so on like that. Let's throw down. And yeah, most people are, yeah, not a problem. I've got extra tank, what have you. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of hoping, but we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. But at least if you bring your soft goods out there, you got no excuse if the opportunity arises.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Texas is fun, man. Texas is a great place. I like it.
The last time I was in the state of Texas, we flew into San Antonio. I think it was El Paso, and then drove into Juarez, Mexico, because that's where my sister-in-law is from.
Oh,
so we went down there for the wedding.
Went there to see how brave you were.
You know what's funny about that too is that I had no idea just how dangerous it could have been. Mainly just because of the fact that white face walking around there. But yeah, everybody at the hotel was like, don't leave the hotel, just you stay here, we've got pretty much everything you need here. And I was like, no, there's a Burger King down the street. I walked down the street to a Burger King and ordered food, not speaking a lick of Spanish. I don't speak any Spanish. And the thing that cracked me up the most in hindsight was the lovely young woman who took my order, blonde hair, blue eyes, pale complexion, and her name was America.
What was her name?
America.
There you go. Nice.
America. Yeah. And she didn't speak any English.
Oh, taking your life in your hands for a Whopper, Dennis. That's
exactly.
That's the American way.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Nice.
All right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. We're gonna launch into our first. I'm messing with my banners here. I'm gonna launch into our first segment. Oh my God. Professionals. I'm telling you guys, professionals. What was that, Mike? Sorry, I cut you off.
Almost professionals.
Almost. Yeah, exactly.
That works for us.
Yeah. All right. So first things first, as I said, the Mid-Atlantic major just passed us. And we saw some interesting paintball over the weekend. Coming into Friday, there was, Marx Brothers 2023. Yeah, no, Eugene's not here to join in on that one though. But as I said, we coming into Friday, we saw some interesting paintball being played. Diesel was looking strong coming into Friday. Heat was not looking quite as strong, and interesting to see just how much change the Diesel squad had since taking over as coach. It seemed like they were a lot more focused. It seemed like they were a lot more in tune on top of things. What's going on? Why am I frozen? Am I frozen?
Yeah, you sounding a little bit like a robot too.
Oh boy.
Okay, I got you. You're good.
We're good now?
Yeah, I think so.
There we go.
Okay, great.
Better? Everybody see? Yeah, awesome. All right. Yeah, and so talk about the best layout so far, which I have to agree. I mean, the way the field was set up, it looked like it made for some really exciting snake battles. I saw some, a lot of interesting trades, one-handed trades, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know if you had a chance to see, Ollie coming out against Damage, literally coming around with one hand and trading off. That was a move that I saw quite a few times over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sorry I lost you there for a sec. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to watch any of the games. I was kind of gone this weekend, but yeah, I'll let you continue with how things kind of broke down for the days. I'm excited to get the full story.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as Lupe was saying here, trading that particular scene that I was talking about with Ollie himself. So he and Keith Brown are literally mirrored on the either side of the 50 snake bunker. And they're both crouched down. You see him like this, and Ollie he's got his, left hand, or sorry, no, right hand, because he's coming out with his left. And he's got his gun in one hand. Keith is just crouching. He's waiting like this. And you see Ollie peeks out. Right as the tip of Ollie's barrel comes out, Keith starts unloading. They shoot each other. I mean, it was a trade, so it was great. But, like I said, that particular move right there, I saw it so many times throughout the weekend. That snake made for some incredible trades. It was really, really something else.
I think the layouts lately have been really encouraging player creativity, which is just really cool to see, because from team to team, you can actually see how they've dissected the play of the field in slightly different ways. And everybody has found successes in doing their own things, in matches and stuff. So that's the way the fields have been designed lately. I'm really a big fan of that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, again, given that, the strength of the layouts, we're starting to see more and more teams are, taking advantage of that, and we're getting different results. A couple of dark horses coming into the weekend that people didn't think were going to be there, Damage being one of them. Although me personally, I feel like they were due. That squad has always been worked very, very hard. And, ever since Rainey Stanczyk when he came on board, he was a huge influence on their style of play, and he made a huge difference for them this weekend, especially.
And you can never count out the Edwards brothers. Those guys, they have uncanny skills.
Yeah. That, as we saw with that final point, one of the Edwards brothers did a 1v1 and clinched the title for him in that final game, which it was great too. It was so good. I highly recommend anybody out there watching go and check out the footage either on Go Sports, or I believe they still got it up on the NXL Instagram as well. It's pretty exciting. It's really pretty exciting. Yeah, and Lupe mentions it right here. X Factor hasn't made a run that deep in quite a while as well. Yeah.
I always root for them too. I always root for the X Factor guys.
It's so hard not to.
Yeah.
It's so hard not to. I mean, that whole camp is just like, outside of personal opinion, but Billy Bernaccia can rub me the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah.
He's a super, super skilled guy. He's very, very strong player, but sometimes he rubs me a little raw. But I mean, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you've got LJ Parrish on the other side of the field, who's like a little lightning bolt just zipping down there. I mean, I have seen that guy do such amazing stuff, and he's like a super nice guy too. So that's always really good to see them do well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, Lupe coming in strong with the comments, Jake, this is 2 finals now that Jacobs won in a 1v1.
Yeah.
So I definitely can't argue with that.
I want to circle back to that after the NXL talk. Let's circle back to the whole thing about about the Edwards brothers real quick. I got something.
Absolutely. Oh, and it looks like LJ had a strong showing in the snake as well. So yeah, like I say, I mean, both of those teams I think were due for a deep run like that. I know Damage has had some success earlier. excuse me, earlier in the year. But you know, there we've talked about this so many times in the past too. We're always seeing a lot of the same teams that are coming out on Sunday. Dynasty being obviously the most common. Um, so it was nice to see some new faces on the podium this event. And as much as I respect the Dynasty squad for their talent and everything, I'm kind of glad to see that they didn't win.
Oh, they were on a hell of a run there, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this would have made I think three titles. Had they won this, would have been back to back to back. So I
Wow.
don't know. Yeah. But that being said, you recently, well, I guess maybe not recently, but you were at the MVPS in the capacity of a vendor. So I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to touch on that. It's been a while since we've had a chance to really talk about it.
Okay. Well, I was definitely there. I try and make it to all of those events that I can because they're all here in the state of Florida. They're always at great venues. Um, I think they have that system down really well. Like those events to me, I haven't played one of those events this year. But just by going around watching, talking to people, being in the pits a little bit, it seems like a very well-oiled machine. I've been at basically all the events this year, I think, and yeah, it's great. I'll play one as soon as I get it, as soon as I can kind of clear my schedule out again. This last event, I would have played with the local guys I play with in D3 X Ball, but they switched the days from D3 to D4. It was like D4 was on a certain day and D3 was on another day, and I had to leave on that Sunday because it was my wedding anniversary. So I was there all day Saturday thinking I was going to get to play, but the schedule changed. So I was just there as a vendor for the day, and that was that on that one. But I definitely will play those events again, and I'll be at the next one. And yeah, they're really solid. They're really really solid events.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
a mini NXL.
well, and we were talking about that off the air. That next to the NXL, the MVPS has one of the highest player counts right now. I know we talk a lot about Bunker Fest, especially in recent months.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great job those guys over there are doing. But I mean, the MVPS series has been very well established for some time now, and the turnouts they're always really good.
Yeah, I think the first MVPS I played was almost 10 years ago in 2014. You know, going back that far, they used to do a lot of 3-man and 1v1 tournaments when they were first starting. And that stuff was really fun.
Mm.
So yeah, they've been at it for a while, so they know what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's actually a really interesting point too. Sometimes those 1v1 contests and the 3-man stuff, that can
Mm-hmm.
actually be a lot more exciting at times because you're not having to deal with, you know, watching this guy over here, watching this guy, oh, somebody just bumped into the, Dorito too, but then you're trying to watch the snake and you know,
Yeah.
it shows just how strong some of these guys' gunfighting skills are, especially with the 1v1 contests. Um, that can be super exciting. The other thing that I really like about, at least so far, a lot of the types of events that have the 1v1s is that anybody can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can step onto that field and do it. So if you've got the balls to do it, you could easily 1v1, one of these pro guys.
Absolutely. Seen it done.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Which I guess is sometimes is kind of a nice little humble pie. If you got some like 13, 14-year-old kid who's going out there against somebody who's been in the sport for a while, they've got
Yeah.
an established reputation or what have you, and they're the ones walking off with just a dead center Cyclops hit.
Yeah. I think it's funny though, because obviously, especially when you're newer in the sport, you're intimidated. I always was when I first started playing paintball competitively, and there's a team of speedballers that came up from Miami to play the event, and they're all shooting brand new angels and stuff. Dude, it's intimidating, man, because it's like
Absolutely.
you're like, holy crap, I'm actually facing like an army that's trained and they've got, you know, elite weapons, and holy crap, I'm really in for it. And it's super intimidating. But the great thing about I'm getting messages on my phone. The great thing about those kind of events is that if if you are the supposed underdog, you have nothing to lose. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
go play the best pro player in the world. Like all the pressure is on that person to not get shot out by a D5 guy or whatever.
exactly.
And so it's always, I always find those very exciting because honestly, dude, even the best paintball player in the world, man, sometimes you just catch a stray ball, the wind catches it weird, that ball isn't perfectly round, and so it makes a weird angle and you get hit. I mean, a weird bounce from somewhere, anybody could get shot,
Yep,
anybody.
yep.
So those things are always pretty exciting.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Which actually makes me, that brings us around. I'm going to go ahead and close out this segment, but that actually makes me think of something that you and I talked about a few weeks back that I want to bring up. So let me
Okay.
go ahead and end this segment, and then we're going to get into that. All right. Sorry about. Excuse me. That's what I get for eating chicken salad right before I go live.
Get it together, Dennis.
The mess. It's a mess.
Hey,
Right? We do what we can.
that's it. That's it.
So you had something that you wanted to talk about in terms of like with Jacob and the Edwards brothers, but
Yeah.
an interesting point that you brought up in we're talking about those 1v1s and how sometimes the fickle finger of fate can just alter everybody's course.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of players getting shot out with like bounce shots. These guys are working the angles just right, hitting a bunker so that it comes in at a weird angle. From D5 all the way up to pro. We're seeing more and more stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
However, you and I were talking a couple of weeks ago about people's integrity, like the players' integrity on the field, and basically just being honest. And
Yeah.
but some of these things, it led me to think, these bounce shots, you tuck it in behind, you get shot. It's so easy to cheat, and that was
Yep.
basically the point of the topic that we were going on was cheating in paintball.
Well, okay. So I'll kind of, for anybody who's picking up on or just like catching this now or whatever, I call Dennis sometimes just to shoot the breeze about paintball stuff and run ideas past him, and we just talk and everything. And I've kind of been thinking a lot about how so many people talk about making the sport of paintball better, and that's like that's a common theme on every paintball podcast. Anyone who's in paintball talks about making paintball better, making paintball bigger, what have you. And to be honest with you, we've screwed ourselves on all of this. And I'm talking about the players, because if you're just going to cheat, or if you're on a team where at least one or two of your teammates are just going to cheat, how can you ever expect anything to get better? And like, just hear me out. Let me flush this out a little bit because it probably sounds a little
Absolutely.
silly.
No,
But
no.
when you started playing paintball, and when I started playing paintball, my initial thought was, I'm so stoked to play paintball. This is so much fun. My thoughts were never about cheating. Never thought about cheating. When you're first learning paintball, it's like, oh my God, this is the most fun. Oh, damn, I got shot. Oh, well, you were almost like naive to competition paintball.
Yep.
You
Yep.
were in the purest little baby form of innocence when it comes to paintball. And then you start going to tournaments, and now I would actually say it gets worse the higher level you go up, but it's washed through all the rankings. Like it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere,
Yep.
but how I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. It really frustrates me that if you're a player who actually wants to be a really good paintball player, you work on your snapshots, you're working on your running and gunning, you're working on all the skills that need to make you accurate and fast and make good decisions. And then you shoot somebody on the break because you've really worked on your skills. But on the other side of the field, this guy's really working on how to wipe off a hit as he slides into the snake and not get seen, right?
Right.
So it's like you've got two opposing forces working against each other, and everybody knows the rules. Everybody knows if you get hit, you're supposed to get out. But it's just so much of a thing now that everyone cheats. You hear the phrase, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, and like all that kind of stuff. But the
Sure.
truth of the matter is, it ends up just like ruining the sport, or I should say what the sport was meant to be. And now there's like, oh, I've got a problem with this ref. Well, why? What's your problem with the ref? Well, I shot this guy and he didn't see it, and he didn't even go check that guy. Well, that guy's been practicing for 4 years on how to wipe hits, and the
Right.
ref, this is his first tournament, so he knows he should pull people out who are hit. But he's working against experts here, experts at deceiving the refs if they've been shot or not. So, I don't understand where we're trying to go with this sport. It's not paintball. As my friend said, it should be called cheaty ball, because tournaments are all cheating, and that's it. And
Yeah.
I've kind of learned to accept that. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But that's the real world, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to have my fantasy world come true, where all of a sudden all the players are honest. And if you dink somebody in the loader, they're just going to call themselves out. If you shoot a guy in the end of his barrel when he's coming around the snake, he's going to call himself out. That stuff just doesn't happen, but it probably should. It probably should happen.
Well, it absolutely should. And it's like it's like we had both said when we were talking about it. Um, at the end of the day, it harms the sport overall,
Mm-hmm.
because it's creating a reputation and an environment where the only way that you're going to be able to compete is to cheat.
Right.
It doesn't as much come down to your like I said, your gunfighting skills, how well you can make your bunker, how fast you can make your bunker.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how well can you cheat? How well can you hide? Swapping your marker from one side to the other to wipe a hit off your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Going from one knee to another, or saying, well, purposely dumping paint on the ground and saying, well, no, I kneeled down on no ball. This is not a hit.
Mm-hmm.
It creates an environment where, like I said, that's the only way where you can compete with some of the upper tier teams, because these guys are, instead of working on those very skills you brought up, they're working on just ways to get away with being able to wipe or what have you.
It's
um
it.
it makes it less appealing for little Johnny's parents when they're seeing stuff like that, people yelling at each other because one player suspects another one. Hey, Nick, how's it going, man? Because one player suspects another of cheating, and then it escalates from there, as we've seen in some events in the past. But then it also goes all the way down to like we had brought up on the last show, walk-ons. I mean, people are literally unloading, pod dumping from 4 feet away from each other, and then from there, fists start flying or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to make the average parent whose kid is interested in playing paintball. They're not going to want their kid involved in something like that.
Right. Well, I think if every player, and again, I know this is not possible. I know what I'm saying is not real. But like, if every player, every tournament player just decided that they were going to be completely straight up and be completely honest. And if they get hit, they were going to call themselves out. Or at least if you get hit in the pack or something, you call for a check. Like, there are times you get hit that you don't know it. I've been
Oh,
shot in the
absolutely.
side of my loader that I didn't know it. I've been shot in my pack when I didn't know it. You know, so there's legit things that happen, but trying to cover those things up is like, it just causes more problems for the ref, which makes the other team angry, which makes this team angry at the other team, and it just escalates everything. And the other part of that I find this like very unusual, because I can't think of another sport where this happens. But you go and you shake hands with all the guys on the team that you're gonna, play against, and whether it's friends at a local practice or whether it's an X-ball team at the event or what have you, and then you go on the field and you cheat them and they cheat you, and then you come off the fields and shake hands and say good game. What other sport could you walk on the field knowing you're going to cheat your opponent and knowing they're going to try and cheat you? If that happened in boxing, would there be boxing? There wouldn't be boxing.
No.
Not I can't think of another sport where cheating is just accepted. And that starts at the top. That starts absolutely at the very freaking top. The top pro teams, the top people who run the companies, who used to be pro players, who they have that attitude as well. It starts at the top,
Yep.
And it's a shame. But again, I don't expect other people to like live to my standards. But by the way, this is a game that the rules and you agreed to play by the rules. So this is not like my standards. This is the game we're supposed to be playing, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I feel a little salty about it, but I've just thought about it so much. And dude, I've sat on the sidelines. I've seen pros cheat. I've been cheated by pros, by pros who are better paintball players than me. But I've still been cheated by them because I caught one in the pack or something, and he just kept running and kept shooting my players, after he was hit. And dude, it just happens. I don't know if it's a real battle of the ego, like a pro guy or a semi-pro guy just can't let himself be shot by a divisional guy, like a D4 guy shoots you, like, I can't let that guy shoot me, so I'm just going to pretend it's not real.
Yeah. And that actually brings up a really interesting point that I felt like is still something that paintball as a whole is fighting against, and that's ego.
Mm-hmm.
When I was still playing competitively, that was during the heyday of 7-man NPPL, and everything was all about being ag. Now I know some of that's kind of coming back a little bit stronger.
It's like V2, and it's a lot weaker than the original version. But for those of us who were around in 2004 and 2005, we know what's up.
Yeah. But even then, we still had this prevailing ego of, I'm a badass. I don't give a damn about you. Hybrid made some great products, but one of the most popular things they ever made was a sticker that said, fuck your feelings. And to an extent, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You want a little bit of that attitude, a little bit of that edge, because, nobody's going to take you seriously if you've got like a sticker on the side that says, let's all hug or something like that.
Right. Right. Well, there's definitely an image that the sport of paintball has tried to really push out there, and it's been picked up by a large group of the players. I see that in like the Violence brand now and stuff. They've kind of run with that whole ag feeling and everything. And it's a very successful brand, very big.
It is. And again, I'm by no means am I saying that they are not. It's capitalism, it's consumerism. If you've got a product that sells, sell it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll gladly say. I am not ashamed to say I gladly support Charm City because you make some amazing headbands. So I'm happy to throw my money at you.
My buddy Alex is on there right now from Texas.
Yeah, I highlighted his comment here because this is yet another kind of an issue,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the rise of the WNXL and women playing paintball in general. Um, how can you be expected to have any kind of integrity or to be, for people to look at us as a sport with any kind of respect if that's how we treat each other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they can't. There's still so many egos out there that it's like you said, they can't handle being shot by a divisional player. They can't handle being shot by the fact that the person on the other end of that gun happens to be a woman. I mean,
Yep. Do you want to
are we really that fragile?
do you want to hear another level of how far it goes into the NXL and stuff?
Sure.
Every single shooting stat, player most kills, kill stats, all garbage. It's all garbage. How do you say this guy killed 3 people when every player on that other side of the field is wiping?
Yeah.
And the guy who's getting all the kills, he may have already been shot and wiped it off. Like, seriously, man. It's
Yep.
all it I always wondered how they're generating those numbers and how they're figuring that out. But after watching pro play from up close, like right by the nets, right on the side of the field, and playing against a bunch of pro dudes, nah, those stats are whack, bro. Those
Yeah.
stats are just whack.
Yeah. Well, and more to the point, and Lupe actually brings up another interesting thing that I was gonna talk about is where do you draw the line between overshooting and just making sure that that person that you hit actually acknowledges that they were hit and gets off the field? Do you put your team at risk of a flag because this guy is not being, he's not being honest and calling himself out? Or do you just let it go on and hope that maybe in the next, his next bump up or something like that, he actually takes one where it's obvious and the ref calls him without having to be yelled at?
Well, I think, honestly, I think that every single one of us who picks up a marker, and I think it's obvious to see from the sidelines, you know when you're overshooting. And I don't believe in overshooting. I don't believe there should be a penalty for overshooting. I think it's kind of a dumb thought, but I also wouldn't shoot a guy 50 times in the back as I'm
Yeah.
running him down. I wouldn't stand there and just unload on the guy
Right.
because I'm not a dick, But in the sport right now, if you do that, you're doing something wrong. Like, you're crossing a line. Nobody does that by accident, right? It's a conscious decision.
Yep.
So as far as overshooting, somebody gets zipped up with 10 balls as one, two guys run past them. That's the sport, man. But if
Yeah.
but it's, and you can clearly see the intent. Like, I'm pointing my gun at you and I'm still shooting after I have paint all over my mask. It's clear intent. I don't think any one of us is surprised by a malicious shooting call or an overshooting call when we've been seeing what we've been seeing lately.
Yeah.
People make these decisions consciously to do that
Yeah.
stuff.
Now, that being said, since we're kind of on the topic of risking penalties for overshooting and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to get, and this is just your personal opinion. So there was recently a comment made by Ollie in regards to Ron Dizon shooting a Revo player as the Revo player tried to make a bunker move on him, ended up getting shot, and the guy hit the ground because he was getting hit from a few different angles. And Ron Dizon basically scolded him from, he was at his feet, shot him in the back of the head, and then went to continue playing.
Mm-hmm.
And Ollie called him out on it, said it was classless, and, he should have known better. The guy was already on the ground. Yet there's video footage of Ollie doing the exact same thing to Kyle Spica.
Yeah. As I get older, I try and not to jump to conclusions about things. If I saw somebody like Ronnie Dizon doing that, somebody who I've met before, he's a nice dude. I don't know him at all. I just happened to meet him. He was like very friendly and very good energy, like a really cool dude. He's got a reputation for being a good guy.
Yeah.
So I would say to myself, I wonder what happened that would make a really good dude do that to somebody, was that guy talking shit to him? Was that guy talking shit about his team? Did that guy just overshoot one of his friends in the snake? Like, I would want to know the rest of the story before I said, oh, he's a dick. Because,
Yeah.
dude, sometimes there's a guy on another team and he's really like abusing your guys. He's shooting your front players really bad, overshooting them. Dude, you got to teach that guy a lesson. You got to teach
Oh,
that
yeah,
guy a lesson. So if that was the guy that got taught the lesson and he ends up on the ground crying or having, I don't want to say crying because sometimes you get really hurt, but dude, if he ends up getting it, maybe he deserved it. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know the story
yeah.
about that. You
Well,
know?
and it's in this particular instance with the Ron Dizon incident.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very little context outside of the Revo player was running up, was going to run him down, and he just happened to get shot first.
Mm-hmm.
But because again he was in a lane, he got hit by a few players, so he just was like, all right, as soon as I'm just going to basically hit the ground, and he took it. He didn't complain. Somebody asked him after the point was over, like, oh, what was that all about? And he goes, hey, that's paintball.
Yep.
Like he was not upset about it. He had no hard feelings against Ronnie or anything like that. So that didn't really end badly for anyone. But it just, again, it kind of goes a little bit back to some of that integrity and I guess basically don't be such a hypocrite. If at least in this instance, both players were totally cool with each other. He got up once everything was said and done. He got up, he walked off the field. He had no hard feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, I've been shot by people and it hurt, bro. I've been shot bloody. I've had holes shot through my jerseys. Dude, we all have. And
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just how it goes. And like, we have to be able to, if you can't take that, then paintball might not be your sport. It just might not be for you.
Yeah.
But 99.9% of the time, like if something like that happens, or you get really shot up in the soft spot, right on the side meat or something, dude, most of the time, even if I don't know the dude, at the end of the day, he'll be like, bro, sorry, man, I didn't mean to blast you like that. I just caught you like ramping really good. My stream was right on point. I'm like, dude, you got me. That's it. You just can't, you can't be upset about that kind of stuff. I mean, cause I'm going to dish it out to somebody too. And I want them to be able to take it, the same way. So.
Oh, okay. So your buddy Alex he's got a lot to say. Man, yeah, I really appreciate this. Familiar with the incident at Bunkerfest in May? Coach told guy target players, drew penalties, probably about. No, I hadn't heard anything about that. That's interesting, especially if that's a planned planned thing. That's kind of, I don't know. I have to question. Was this a divisional team or was something higher up? 40 media on Instagram and some video. I'm gonna have to look into that. Wow. That's oh, okay. So D4, which again, divisional. That's, I don't know how I feel about that.
I didn't see his post. Can you say what he said?
Yeah. Hang on. Let me highlight it again here. So I guess at Bunkerfest back in May, a coach of one of the teams was telling his guys to target players, and it says he probably put about 100 extra shots running guys down.
Yeah. Well,
he says guys shot at the 50, kept going through, shot a dude in the face so many times. That's, wow. I mean, that's up there with like NFL coaches telling his linebackers to basically, all right, that dude's had knee surgery, take him out at the knees.
Yeah.
That's pretty shitty.
But that kind of a thing, that if I had to guess, that kind of a thing comes from whoever's coaching the team. That comes from a higher up. You don't get a bunch of guys going, we're going to, like, it seems like that's like a planned thing, like a coach or something. I mean, I just don't know. It sounds, yeah.
That's a shame. Wow, that's a shame. It looks like Alex said he's going to text you the video so you can see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have to check it after. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just got me thinking about all that stuff because people talk about growing the sport and making paintball better, and I'm like, dude, if we're talking about grow, if I honestly don't know how paintball has survived as long as it has. I mean, the main structure is essentially just keep reshuffling, and it's all
Yeah.
the same people at the top for the last 20 something years, you know. And it's Alex just texting me. Um, so you know, I don't I don't see like tons and tons of growth in paintball. I mean, there's new people coming in, but there's also people leaving, people retiring, and what
Yeah.
have you. But so I don't see like an overwhelming number of like new teams joining. Like when World Cup comes, there's not 75 brand new teams there, and you know, something like that. So I don't see the growth as being, it doesn't appear like you're working on it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's
Yep.
growing, but it's not prospering. You know, you're not
Exactly.
having robust growth, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And I mean, giving you full credit, that conversation that we had in regards to outside money coming into the sport and stuff like that. I mean, all of the stuff that I had said previously, that was in the course of the conversation that I had with you, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that ties into it as well. What are you doing to actually grow the sport if you're not investing the money in avenues that are going to actually do that?
Well, I just feel like if you're already a company that has 20% of the paintball market or 30% of the paintball market, and you have your piece of the pie, the population of people who are going to buy your product and use your product is not growing. So you've got almost like a set audience.
Yep.
So why on earth would you want to divide the pieces of the pie and make them smaller by having new companies come in to compete with you?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I think that there's definitely room for outside companies in paintball, but I, I would I would imagine that the type of companies that would be the most acceptable to come in would not be your technology companies and things like that. It would, I can imagine more like a Mountain Dew or
Yep.
something as a sponsor, you know, for a big conglomerate like PepsiCo or whatever that has money to spend and could sponsor some teams. But honestly, that doesn't get them anything.
It
What does
doesn't.
that get them? Because nobody knows what the hell paintball is. If you say paintball, they automatically see you wearing a ghillie suit out in the woods. That's what people think paintball is.
Yeah.
So
Even to this day.
just the paintball needs to be rebranded for the public because people are still in like the 1980s and 90s of what they think paintball is, and paintball has become so much better than that. Well, technically paintball could be so much better than that if you don't get into all the ins and outs of how things actually work, but it's such a great product, it's such a great sport, it's so adventurous, it's so fun, it's thrilling, it's got all these things, and there's just a failure to capitalize on that. You know, it strikes me as we're really missing the boat. You know,
Yeah.
paintball should be huge. Paintball should be massive.
It should. It should. And it's interesting too because so many people still have this preconceived notion of what playing paintball is, especially on a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys that were sitting in the bushes with the ghillie suits, that's really honestly, I feel like that's what's kept paintball alive
Yeah.
during that economic downturn that we went
Mm-hmm.
through from 2008, moving forward.
Yep.
Had it not been for those guys and paintball still having that side of the sport to lean on,
Mm-hmm.
it probably would have died.
Oh yeah, paintball would not be sustained upon divisional players, especially or tournament players, especially because most of them want everything for free. So it's like I don't know how that works, man. Everybody wants a sponsorship.
Oh, Craig, that's a
I'll let you
really
read that
interesting
up.
question. Wow, sorry for the wall of text, guys, but this is a great question. So should the growth be in tournament scene or walk-ons? Growing the sport's tricky in that sense. If more fields welcome walk-ons, then it would grow the tournament scene, as stated prior
Mm-hmm.
about the WNXL not getting spins.
Mm-hmm.
If this is allowed by field owners, we won't ever continue to grow. These women are empowering and building the foundation. Absolutely, Craig. I mean, that was so well put. So well put.
Absolutely, Craig. It has to start at the fields. It has to start with rec players. It has to. You're not going to get a mom and dad who are going to drop $1,500 on their 12-year-old kid to get a marker, a tank, a loader, pants, like you're not going to do it. And if he's getting a Lux or something, forget it. You $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, it needs to start at the local field with every superstar like Chris Lasoya that you've heard of. How did they all start? It was like a paintball birthday party or something.
Yep, birthday party.
And they got hooked. So like, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that kind of a thing. And out of every 100 kids that goes to a rec field one time for a birthday party or for Father's Day or whatever, for every 100 kids, you're going to get 2 kids that stay with it and make it to the NXL in any capacity whatsoever. Yep. So the only way to grow this at all is to try and grow the local scene and try and get more young people involved, because those young people are going to be replacing the players who supposed to retire. But if you look at the pro players that are in the NXL now, I would have never thought 15 years ago it would essentially be all the same people.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had new people come up, not many. The roster on Dynasty is still pretty deep from how it used to be.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, is like, for the most part, Dynasty's roster, the core of the roster has not changed. We're still seeing, Alex is still there, Ryan's still there, Yosh is still there. Yeah, they brought Archie over, but for the most part, Dynasty is still the Dynasty we've always known.
Yeah, and good for them, man. Like,
absolutely,
hats off to those dudes.
Not taking anything away from them in that aspect. But that being said, a lot of these younger, the hungry talent, these guys that have been busting their ass to break into semi-pro and pro ranks, they're getting cherry picked by Dynasty or Impact or what have you. But then they get buried because they are on the second line and they maybe play 1 point or something like that. So, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
So what do you do if you've got like a line of new players ascending through the ranks in divisional play to try and make it to semi-pro or pro, but nobody's leaving semi-pro or pro, and all the people in Division 3 and 2 and everything above you are all also trying to make that spot, and you've only got 20 pro teams or something, and there's only 8, 9, 10, 12 guys on each pro team, and nobody's leaving.
Yep.
So like, where do you freaking go? At what point, so you get to Division 1, you're playing semi-pro. Can you even make it? Can you ever make it to pro? Is there a pathway for any of that to actually happen in the way things are working now? I don't know that there is, man. I don't know.
Well, and the other kind of aspect to, especially more so with the pro and the semi-pro ranks, as you work your way through the divisions, you're forced to go into the next division. Mm-hmm. If you've played X number of events, you have to bump up. And I think semi-pro is where that stops, because as we've seen with Fit, Paintball Fit has done, and their program is amazing. That team is amazing, but mm-hmm. they are choosing to stay in the semi-pro spot. Now, whether that's intentional, so they're saying, you know what, yeah, we could bump up to pro, but we're selling our spot to, like, for example, the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know how the Saints are still in the pro ranks. They should have been relegated by now, but they own their pro spot. Are they just buying it from Fit because Fit wants to stay where they are? Who knows? I mean, that's up to, JD and, we may never know, but
Yeah.
it breeds it breeds an interesting thought, because it's like you said, once you reach a certain level, if those guys don't want to, move on, whether it's hanging the gun up, or, you know, moving on to the next level, um, it starts to become oversaturated. Semi-pro is very oversaturated right now.
And there's so many good players in
Yeah,
semi-pro. And the thing is, I don't I don't want the pro players to retire. If they still want to play, I don't want to see them retire either. So, but it's just like, well, what do we do then? Because we don't, I mean, ideally, the answer would be more leagues, right? Or an
yeah,
expansion of the leagues, or partnering of different leagues to include more pro teams, more, or maybe, you do something like some of the other sports are, where it's like a pro bracket in a regional area. So there's like X amount of pro teams allowed in certain regions of, I don't know a good way to do it. I'm just like, something's got to give, because you got hundreds of thousands of paintball players in the world, tens of thousands of tournament players, and they're all trying to get to the exact same damn place.
yep, yep. Well, Alex is saying, like, essentially 20 pro teams, 5 tournaments. After World Cup, team with the least amount of points is demoted. That's true. And then same with the semi-pro, at the end of the cycle, they should be, the number one team in semi-pro gets promoted. The thing is Fit has been first place, with them and Blast Camp for the most part, have been the top semi-pro team for a while. Saints have not been outside of, I want to say they're still in the bottom 10. How have they not gotten demoted yet? And that's kind of what I was talking about. It's like, whether this is something political, if it's money, the way that they're able to keep their spot.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that works in other sports. So
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to compare it to something, but I don't really know of anything that's really quite comparable to this.
The closest thing that I could think of would be professional soccer over in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
The top, I think it's the top 2 teams in, the Premier League, or the UEFA League or whatever, get bumped up, and so there's relegation and promotion within something like that. But that's really the only kind of analogy that I could draw to, and even then, it's very convoluted.
But even then, okay, so you leave that league and you can go to MLS. You can come play in the States and play professional soccer and make millions of dollars.
Exactly.
It's like there's a pathway to a professional paid gig in another league or in another country. There's soccer, leagues all over the world. It's so popular.
Yeah.
Paintball, we just don't have any kind of access like that. And I don't know, man. I know I was talking to, I don't want to mention who it was. I was talking to somebody a while ago who's trying to start another league, another pro league, to get players involved. And it is really, really difficult to get professional players interested in playing in a league that's not the NXL. And it wouldn't take, I mean, man, if somebody were like Dynasty were to invest in another league or something, like, okay, we've already basically beat everybody in the NXL. We're the best team the NXL has ever seen, most winningest team, what have you. If somebody like that was to say, all right, we're going to go play in such and such other league, and they're going to have a professional division, and if you feel like you can come take it from us, come get it. I mean, that would, and then you could fill out another league essentially with people who wanted to try and make it to that top level. I don't know if there would probably never be any cross league competition, although that would be kind of exciting to see 2 pro leagues go at it, with all the top pro teams from each league go at it. That would be exciting.
Something like that. I think something like that would be an amazing opportunity for, now that we're starting to see, Major League Paintball. It's a thing. It's an entity now. We
Mhm.
could do something similar to like what baseball does. There's a National League and the American League, and those teams play each other. Whoever is tops from there, they play each other for the title. You know,
Yeah.
that's an
The,
amazing idea. And that in and of itself right there, that opens up the pro levels to more teams to be able to play at that level. And then it makes it exciting because, say Houston Heat is in the National League and Dynasty is in the American League. Well, they have never played each other during the season. And then at the end of the season, they play each other. So they
yeah.
don't have context
Yeah.
on how well these guys are doing and stuff like that. Something like that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be exciting. And just think about how many pro players right now are on semi-pro teams because
Oh,
just because
absolutely.
of so if you started really thinking about the pro level players, the players with professional experience, which is huge. Having professional experience is, I mean, a totally different thing than playing the divisional paintball. It's a totally different ball game. So like there's lots of guys out there playing D1 who are super solid pro players.
Mm-hmm.
Would be great to see them in a pro team in another league. It would be great. We have enough professional players and enough people who've been around paintball long enough and who are super skilled, and they can lead teams and they can have new teams and create new teams. I think that would be very exciting, man.
Oh, absolutely. I could not agree more.
But
I could
again,
not agree more.
who in current paintball ownership / management / whatever in the NXL would want to see that happen? Another league pulling our audience in half and like taking half the people away from our events and going to who wants that? Nobody wants that, bro. Nobody.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it comes down to the. I feel like it comes down to the almighty dollar and them not wanting to get a smaller piece of that pie.
I the thing is, I don't impugn any like negative thoughts on these guys because I'm not saying you do either, but I'm just saying I know how like it's tough to put on a tournament,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it is a thankless freaking job because no matter where the venue is, people are going to complain. No matter how things turn out, people are going to complain. If it's too dry, people are going to complain. If it's too wet, people are going to complain. Like, it's a problem. It's not a gig that I would want to do, but like Tom Cole, he's been doing this for a really long time, and people say bad things or whatever. I'm like, dude, well, if you don't like Tom Cole's league, don't play it. Go play Bunkerfest. Go play any number of local or regional leagues. But I'm not going to talk bad about the guy or even think bad about the guy for busting his ass and making these NXL events happen for the last 20 something years,
Sure.
in some way. So it's like, you have to appreciate what we have, but we have to find a way to tweak it and make it better. People are trying their hardest. I don't think it's just like greedy owners want everything for themselves, although I think that is a realistic problem to solve for the owners. Like we can't lose money. We have to keep X amount of profit margin. And if we start selling this cheaper or that cheaper, that's going to really affect our development for our next marker. And we can't do that. It's a big problem. But
Yeah.
if something doesn't get done, I don't see paintball being any bigger than it is now for the rest of its days.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, but you're absolutely right. And I mean, I will admit that I feel like maybe a little bit more looking into cost allocation. I mean, it's such a gray area, but it's also razor thin.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if there's a little bit more of a deep dive looking into, okay, yes, our overhead is this much. So where can we make adjustments? Where can we improve on the formula that at least opens doors to, like you said, a Mountain Dew or a PepsiCo or something like that, being able to come in, being able to kind of, even just a little bit of an influx would, I think, go a long way.
Well,
but I still wonder how much of it comes down to, oh, but you know, I'm not gonna get as big of a turnaround on it if these guys
mhm,
come in.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just it's a big old puzzle at the
Yeah,
moment. And the truth of the matter is, like we talked about a minute ago, if we don't start getting new people to come into the sport, it's going to really limit the audience of people who can play and who buy the merchandise and buy the gear. This is like a long-term problem for everybody in the sport. If you
yeah,
love paintball, and you want to see it last, something's got to change, or it's going to continue to just kind of float along the same size that it is, which is great. I'll still be there. I'll still be there playing. I'll still be there getting shot by people who wiped off the hit that I just shot them with. But that's the way that it is, man.
yeah,
It's just the way that it is.
yeah. Uh-oh. We're being
Oh,
invaded.
the man, the myth, the legend.
Going on,
What's going
guys?
on,
I
Gene?
thought I just I thought I'd pop in really quick to say hi. And dang, look at that! I don't show up. You guys got 9 viewers. A lot of great comments going on. I shouldn't show up more often. I should just be like the man behind the man.
Well, we actually thought you were here the whole time, like just in the background. I could hear clicking on my phone. I thought we were tapped.
No, that's just Apple doing its normal thing.
Oh,
Alexa's got you
gotcha.
guys.
That's
You mean
perfect.
Sorry,
Siri?
guys. Yeah, Oh, Siri. There we go. Siri. I better not say that too loud. She'll pop up on my phone.
Yeah, that's true. If
So
you say it too loud, everybody's phone will start going off. Um, you know,
yeah,
Alex brought up another interesting thing, although I do have a counterpoint to it. So he said, well, the NXL tried to see about keeping costs low by using local fields for the minor events, but nobody showed up to play them. That's true. That was a big factor as to why they no longer have minors, and now all the events are going to be a major event. But the flip side to that, the counterpoint to that, is that they are leaving money on the table by not having the WNXL at every event.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to growth of the sport. We're not giving the women a stage to play on, to showcase their skill. And ultimately, I firmly believe that a big driving force behind the WNXL coming into existence was to reach a point of seeing men and women playing on the same roster together.
Well, I actually, in 10-man, you see that a lot more,
That's true.
depending upon the event that you go to. I mean, I talked to there's a lot of like families that play 10-man, and I actually talked to some dudes. I forget what team it was, but it was the son, his father, and then his father. So 3 generations of men playing on, and the youngest, the kid was like young teenager. Dad was in like 35, 40 something, and the other dude was like in his 60s or something. So they're all there playing paintball together, and there's moms and sisters, and there's men and women playing on the same teams at a lot of events. But when it comes to the NXL, there's no rule saying teams can't be co-ed. There's no, I mean, I'm a fan of just letting the ladies mix it in and let's go. May the best people win,
Absolutely.
like, because I don't know. Boy, I'm probably going to piss people off. Should I even say this or not?
Well, I'll be completely honest with you, Mike. I will leave that up to you. I am not worried about hurting anybody's feelings for 2 reasons. One, I as a content creator, I don't have that luxury. I have to say what I'm going to say. The other thing is that we're so small right now.
It doesn't matter.
The show is still so small.
it ain't gonna hurt us. I mean, we're looking at
Well,
6 people that are on here. It's like, yeah, we'll be all right, Mike. But really quick, Mike, before
yeah,
because I'm gonna end up losing signal, so I'm gonna probably go away right now. I was just thinking the same thing this weekend while I was watching the event. I was thinking, why aren't there women on the pro teams? Why does there have to be a segregated, you know, league just for them when they can compete, like we've always said, Dennis, they can compete on the same level as the men. They play just as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Well, there's never been an age, as far as I know, there's never been a rule on a team that you can't have co-ed teams, and there's never been a rule on a team that you like. I think what is age limit is like 14, or like it's a person's got to be X age. But aside from that, you can essentially have a paintball team with anybody you fucking want on it. Anybody.
oh yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
and you can play at any level. You could play pro with a completely mixed team. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing in the rules to say that you can't do it. So for me, I don't, the minute you start getting all girl teams, which I support that. I think that's badass. We have two teams that practice down here that I've played a bunch with, and the girls are badass. And I just think that anytime you see a team of all girls, it's like, oh, they're all sponsored by X big company, and they've just been given all this stuff, and they've just been given all this gear, and now they're getting tons of publicity, and now they're on interviews on, it's like, I just feel like maybe the industry is using them to say, hey, we support women.
Yeah,
And then shortly after that, it's like, okay, bye. We made our statement. See you later.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, and there's tons and tons and tons of people who are out there grinding for years and years and years who never get any recognition whatsoever. And and because it's an all-girl team, you're getting all this recognition all of a sudden. And I mean, I think it's necessary in the beginning, because I want people to know that yes, you can be a girl and play paintball, because I think there should be more co-ed teams. There should be more girls playing paintball, because that's going to grow the sport. 50% of the population roughly is women. Let's grow the sport. Let's add more female players to the rosters. Let's add more female players to the teams, but unfortunately, a lot of girls don't like to get shot up with paintballs in the neck and have broken, busted up hands all cut up from diving into, paintball into the ground and
That's
stuff.
true.
It
No, that's true.
requires a certain type of extreme personality to want to play paintball. And I think there's just probably less women that fit that bill. But I think we need more of it to grow the sport. We need more of everyone playing to grow the sport.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Um, gonna backtrack a little bit because we we kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You had wanted to talk about the Edwards brothers.
I was just thinking that because you were talking specifically about Ollie and some stuff earlier, and I was just thinking, man, talk about a couple of dudes who they definitely get their credit, but there are so many guys like the Edwards brothers who have such uncanny skills, and they just don't get talked about as much in the NXL circles. And
Yeah.
and specifically talking about those guys, I mean, I can't think of like, I would say earlier, maybe a handful of years ago, I would have said Jason Edwards is one of the sneakiest. Like, he's gonna get you in some kind of way. And then it's like Jacob Edwards is like just doing that same thing. He's so good. He's so sneaky. He's so fast. He's got such good skills. Man, there's tons of guys out there who are amazingly good, and they don't get the kind of press and publicity that like an Oliver Lang gets. And granted, he's on Dynasty, one of the founding members of Dynasty. So there's a level of clout that comes with that.
Of course.
Damage is, they're no slouches, man. Those guys are legit. And I just think that, if
Yeah.
you start breaking it down, there's tons and tons and tons of good pro players who just don't get the recognition that I wish they would, because you always hear about 2 or 3 people, 4 people. And there's a lot of guys out there who should be getting more recognition.
It's true. It's true. And Jake actually made a really good point that it's sad, but it's true. You have to actually stand out. Just being a good baller is not enough.
Yeah. Oh, that's my buddy Jake. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's sad, but unfortunately, it's very true. Um, I don't know. I feel like another good example of a very strong player who just really doesn't get a lot of press outside of a very small circle is Chad Boucher.
Hmm.
Yaya is a great player, but
Hmm.
on that Houston Heat line, he's lucky if he sees a field.
Yeah.
You know?
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with how stacked some of these pro teams are, how many pro players are in high division, like in semi-pro. Man, I mean, there's so many extra pro guys who are on such deep rosters that they don't get to play as much as I think they probably should. And if they were on a different pro team where they were the top dog, or they were the guy with the most experience with a handful of like newer pros, we'd have some really slick new pro teams out there.
Agreed. Just so long as they don't try the Super Saints experiment again.
That'll always happen, man. That's always, because do you remember the Art Chaos experiment? And then this has happened multiple times.
Yeah, no, it has. It really has.
People flipping around. I mean, I don't know. I don't want people to think that, like, I don't know. We've kind of talked about a lot of like more negative sides of the sport, things we'd like to see fixed, but I don't want people to like leave the podcast thinking negative things. I mean, paintball is an awesome sport, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I've met
Absolutely.
so many cool people in paintball, and I think the sport itself attracts a lot of people who are kind of like-minded, maybe a little wild, maybe some really adventurous people who like extreme sports, or any, it just attracts a certain type of person. And I feel like once you get us all together, there's definitely a camaraderie there that doesn't exist in other types of sporting events that I've seen. So like, for all its flaws and all the things that I would love to see changed about paintball as it is right now, I still think it's the best sport,
I have to agree. Alex brings up a great point. Yeah, unrecognized pros.
Hurricanes.
I think that whole line. I will admit, I unfortunately don't know any of the current Hurricanes players.
Yeah, I've been making an effort to like really watch them this year, and right now I couldn't tell you any of the players' names either. I couldn't tell you probably half the. There's been some changes, like the main guys starting five for most of the teams, but there's been some changes. I just I'm not as into staying up with the NXL as I am more with like the 10-man and stuff, but I love to see them doing well. They're practicing down at LAX. If I'm not mistaken, they play down at LAX in Louisiana. The Hurricanes. That's their home field down there, and they seem great. I was watching them at the last NXL event. I was in the pits watching those guys play, and they seem to really have something going right now.
Yeah, it's very, very strong line. I admit that I have not, I haven't closely followed the Hurricanes since they were the New England Hurricanes back during the days of NPPL. So
I remember that.
Yeah,
I definitely remember that.
Oh, they were awesome. But then again, I mean, we're also talking about a time when X Factor was, they were one of the teams to beat regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So man.
And if I'm not mistaken, old New England Hurricanes and the new X Factor both featured Billy Bernaccia.
They did. Yeah, no, I know, Alex, but I'm talking about when the New England Hurricanes were a thing. That was a long time ago. Now,
for them, right? Though that's what I'm saying. Like Billy Bernaccia played for the newer. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He played for the New England Hurricanes, and then he went to X Factor. Yeah. Man, see now I'm getting deep in they're basically Iron Man now. Okay. See, there you go. Players, making them hop, skips, and jumps.
Yeah, there's been movement.
Yeah. Now if we could just find out where Map Chim ended up. once Seattle Thunder became the Brooklyn Bears, he and Patty and the other two guys, because one of them ended up staying. But yeah, last I heard, Matt Chim was he was just going to end up playing in the pro division at WCPPL, or what effectively is the pro division.
Dude, I know that
anymore. Yeah.
I know that Map played on Thunder. I know Map played on Dynasty, but I will always remember him as one of the original Naughty Dogs.
Naughty Dogs, you got it.
That's still one of my favorite old school teams.
Oh, hell yeah. Rocky's still out there. He and his son are still running the team.
Yeah, I've had the privilege to meet both him and his son a few times at events, talk to them and stuff. And those guys are cool, man. But I always remember Map Chim with that big, wide, plaid, super long headband that he used to wear. It's like his signature thing. You could always tell who Map was on the field every time, no matter what jersey he was wearing, because he always had that headband on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
And super humble too. Like, I remember the times when I actually talked to him, I'm like, "Oh my God, you're Map Chim," and he's like, "Yeah."
He's like, "Yeah, last time I checked my license, that's what it said."
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the top pro guys, the guys who have been around, are surprisingly like very approachable and very cool and very like down to earth and very chill. Like, you wouldn't think of it with some of the guys because you see them on the field and you're like, "Oh my God, that guy's a wild man." But like when you meet him off the field and just like whatever, they're super cool, man. So many of them.
Yeah. It's still on my bucket list. There's two players that I want to actually get a chance to shake their hands. Patty Gleason, because I respect the hell out of that guy. He's a phenomenal paintball player, and I really like. He's just got a great story, you know. But the other is Rocky Cagnoni. To this day, I really want to be able to say that I met Rocky Cagnoni.
Oh, I see Rocky at like all the events, man. All the events. He plays 10-man. He was at the MVPS last time too.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. He's a good dude. He's a really good dude.
I won't name Alex Rodriguez. Aaron. Wait, what?
Nice.
That's good.
Alex is one of my good buddies in Texas. His team is called Texas Knockout. He's got the kids team that's been winning all the Bunker Fest things.
Yeah.
You know, that's his guys.
That's great. Oh my God.
Yeah, they've been smashing
and that's exactly what we were talking about, you know. Friends, the contacts that you make, the friendships that we have made through this sport are.
Oh, dude, well, when I go to Texas, I'm staying at his house. That dude that's on the phone, I'm staying with him, man. So yeah, that's my.
I told him bless you at NXL Texas, and he didn't even say thank you.
What did you say? Sorry.
He said, I told him bless you at NXL Texas, and he didn't say thank you.
Man, get rid of him then.
Right?
Don't need that guy around.
That's funny. God. Well, unfortunately, Mike, we went a little over, so I am going to wrap this up. But man, this was fantastic. This was so much fun.
Yeah, good show.
Oh my God. And everybody in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. I know Mike helped. Yeah, what's up?
Before you go, we had also talked about something that I think is a little bit important. Like, if you want to try and grow the sport, I can offer one thing that I think is like a solution to the problem, something we can all do to help. And that is, and I talked to you about this a little bit, but whenever I'm at an event, or if I'm at the field at practice, and even if it's like walk-ons, it's like just a rental party, some kid's having a birthday, man, like especially when you're all decked out with your jersey and your gear and all your stuff, man, go watch some of these kids play and tell them they're doing a good job. Tell them that you saw them make a great move. If you're at an event and you're done playing and you played D3X ball or D4X ball, and man, go watch the D6 and D5 teams play and just give those guys some encouragement, because that is the kind of thing that I feel makes a difference for somebody. You know, you're playing D6 and you're at the field and oh, you're having a terrible day because you guys haven't won a single game, but some guys who are clearly playing X-ball or whatever, they're at least ahead of you in their experience in the game, are watching you play and going, bro, that was a good move. I know you didn't win that match, but I saw you do that. I saw where you were thinking, and those shots were in the perfect spot or whatever. And just like, let people know that you see them, and that like you appreciate that they're there, just that they showed up, that they spent their money to come be at the event. Because
Yep.
if we don't start doing that, we're not going to be an encouragement to the younger people coming up. And what's going to make them stick with paintball?
Exactly.
It's like whatever little tiny thing we can do to help encourage someone to come back and tell somebody they're doing a good job. Because bro, I know there's times, especially early on, when I had hard tournaments, bro, where you lose like every match and it's not close and you're getting just smashed by people. Like the event I told you, one of my first tournaments, we were playing on an airball field that still had the little airlines on the ground, like connecting all the bunkers. And me and my buddies, I'm shooting like an auto mag that's just like kind of pimped out, but it's an auto mag. It's a mechanical gun. My buddy's shooting a Spider. My other dude's got something else. And we played against a 5-man team who came up from Miami. Every one of them is shooting Angels. They all had matching jerseys and pants. And we were like, holy crap, these guys they're going to kill us. They're going to smash us. And they did. They smashed the tar out of us, bro. But it was just like, you got to have some kind of encouragement to keep going back to that, because it is hard to like lose every game and everything. So it's like, if we can, make somebody at least feel good for being there, yeah, you didn't win, but it's great to see you here. I hope that you guys had a good time, hope to see you at the next one, whatever it takes.
Yeah. And it costs you nothing.
Right.
It costs you nothing but a moment of your time to just say, hey, like you said, I know that gunfight didn't go your way, but that was a really nice move that when you bumped up here or, shooting that angle, it costs you nothing to just be a good person, And Alex even said, it's like at the end of the day, just fucking be nice.
Yeah, dude, just introduce yourself to a new person that you've never met before at the field. Yeah. One person. Be like, hey, bro, I never seen you here before. My name's Mike. What's your name? Cool, whatever. Hope to see you around. Like, if people go to a field and they feel like they at least know a couple of people, that would make them way more likely to show up, as opposed to, I know absolutely no one there, and my friend isn't going to be able to go with me, so I'm not going to go. Like we don't need that. We need people to show up and be there. And if we can help in any way, then especially something so small like that, we should be doing that. We should be doing those things.
We really should. No, I wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, I feel like that's a fantastic note to finish on. I'm glad you actually brought that up. So, oh my God, Mike, again, thank you so much for jumping on with me tonight. I really appreciate the support.
My pleasure.
A little jittery to begin, but we got through. We found our rhythm. Yeah. Alex, no, I really appreciate the comments that you made some really great points. I really hope that I hope that we made a fan of you. We'll see you again next week. For everybody out there watching, please come check us out next week. We're actually going to be having Matty Marshall on. He's going to come talk with us not only about his playing days and his past in paintball, but obviously talking about the NXL and stuff like that. So really, really looking forward to that. And then of course, get out there, support your local fields, support your local shops, put your money on those counters.
Let me say the end part. Let me do it. Let me do the line.
All right. In that case, I'm going to throw your Instagram up real quick here, Mike. Everybody, please go check out Mike's Instagram. You can also find him on Facebook, both at Charm City Paintball. He makes some amazing custom headbands, all limited runs. We also had we had Nick from Grow the Sport in here. He also has some beautiful, beautiful headbands out there. So please go check both of these guys out. Again, support these guys. Support your local fields. Support your shops, and let's do our part to grow the sport.
Yeah, Nick's been making some sick stuff lately.
Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah. I really like that new drop that he's got coming on Friday. Is going to be really nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to let Mike go ahead and close out the show here. So
This one's
whenever
for you,
you are
Eugene.
ready.
If you can move and you can shoot, you can play.